Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this information session where we will be talking about our online certificate in football player intermediation. It's a pleasure to have everyone connecting here tonight. Let me begin by introducing myself. My name is Diego Valdez. I'm the director at the Sports Business Institute, Barcelona. And as you can see on screen, we've had the pleasure of working with a number of football organizations across numerous countries. So, you see the likes of FIFA, Manchester United, Liverpool, Manchester City, Barcelona, Milan, etc. The list goes on. So we've been very fortunate to have had the opportunity to engage, to work and collaborate with some of the top sports organizations in football. At the Sports Business Institute Barcelona, what we do is we focus on executive education programs designed for those that want to either transition, start, or further develop a career in the business side of football. We have an office in Barcelona where we do some seminars and online and workshops, but of course we also do many of our programs which are delivered online. Now, tonight's webinar should last approximately 30 minutes. I'm going to talk about the course, but I'm also interested to hear about your questions. I'm interested to hear about what you have to share. So stick around because we're going to have a Q&A at the end where you guys can ask your questions, whether it's about the course or anything related to the role of the agent. So let me just make sure that everybody can hear us. And we like to do this in our info sessions, in our webinars. So what I'd like you to do is in the chat box on the right-hand side, you'll see a chat box. I'd like you to write down the country or the city where you're connecting from, because we always like to know where you guys are connecting from. And then that also tells us that the audio is working well and that the sound is coming through on your end. So I see Sean. Oh, Sean. Hi, Sean from Uganda. Nice to see you. Excellent. So we have Sean. I see there's a few other people. We have Ahmed from Switzerland. Hi, Ahmed. Welcome. Let's see who else do we have online here tonight. I see we have several participants. So anyway, let us know in the chat box where you're connecting from. Yaya from London. Hi, Yaya. Okay, excellent. So Zambia. Minda. Hi, Minda. Nice to see you. So we have people from different parts of the world tonight, which is great. That's what we always like. We like to connect with people from all corners of the world. Right. Kabiru from Nigeria. Welcome, Kabiru. Great to have you here as well. Okay. Well, that's fantastic. I'm glad to see that we have a nice group of attendees here tonight. So let's begin by getting into what the course entails, because I'm sure that's what you want to know a little bit more about. So the certificate in football player intermediation has been designed to equip you with the skills, the knowledge, the contacts to have a successful career as an agent, or as it's known now, an intermediary. Okay? So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to go through what the course covers, and at the end we're going to open it up for questions in case you'd like to know more about what the program is all about, okay? So the first question I've put on screen here is why now? Why did we decide to implement this course, to design this course? Well, for a number of reasons, but mainly an important reason is because what's happening at FIFA now regarding the world of agents. As some of you may know, the regulations are about to change. In 2021, FIFA is expected to announce new regulations for agents that will change the way things are operating now. So if you are an agent now, you will need to know the new regulations, the new set of rules that FIFA have put in place, because otherwise you're going to be in a vulnerable position and you're not going to be able to represent players. So that's the bottom line. So that's why we decided to create this course, because we wanted to equip everybody that wants to get into this side of the business with the most recent knowledge and imparted by top professionals in the industry. So taught by people who are actually doing this day in, day out. so that you have the most relevant information available to you. As I said before, if you've kept up with the press, you will have seen that in the news, this is, a constant. The role of the agent is changing. FIFA is going to implement new regulations. How is this going to impact, intermediaries? And among other things, they're going to be reintroducing the license. For those of you that may not know, since 2015, FIFA decided to get rid of the license for agents. So that meant that you could technically represent footballers without having a license from FIFA. This is going to change, however. It happened in 2015, and up until now, you can register with your local federation, and depending on what regulations they may have, you're able to represent players as an intermediary. Now, however, with the new regulations that FIFA has implemented or will implement in 2021, this is all going to change because they're going to bring back the license, and there's going to be additional regulations that you're going to need to be aware of that are going to have an impact on the role of the agent. So that's one of the main reasons why we decided to design this course and to implement it so that our students were equipped with the knowledge, the skills, and the contacts. So that brings us to the next point, right? How are you going to equip yourself? What are you going to gain from this course? Well, probably the best way to describe this is in the image that I have on the next slide, because this course has been designed to look at the role of the agent, but not just from the prism of the agent or the intermediary, because that would be very limited. I mean, there's courses out there, there's programs out there which are great, but what we decided to do is we wanted to focus it not just on the role of the agent, but we wanted you to get an insight as to how do agents work with players, how do they interact with sports lawyers when it comes to a negotiation, how can they, find endorsement contracts with brands for their clients, for their players, and also the relationship with the clubs. So how does an agent, negotiate or have a relationship with a sporting director, with a scout? And that's what we wanted to create in this program. We wanted you to get an understanding of what it means to represent football players and work as an agent, but not just from that single prism. We wanted you to understand, okay, well, what do you need to know? If you're going to go and negotiate with a player, what do you need to know? If you're going to negotiate with a brand, what do you need to know? If you're going to be negotiating with a club, what are the main things that you need to be aware of? Because if you don't, you're going to be in a vulnerable position. In other words, you can learn the theory, you can learn about becoming an agent and what that entails, but you won't have that 360 view, that holistic approach that you will need once you're operating and once you're doing this on a practical standpoint. So when we were designing this course, we were very much focused on making sure that we brought football players, sports lawyers, brand experts, scouts, sporting directors, and of course, agents and intermediaries to teach the course. So you're going to see that the list of guest speakers, as I show them here, are not just agents. We have very qualified agents such as Male Koidu, who is the course tutor. She is an FA registered intermediary in the UK, works with lots of operations in Latin America and Brazil, Colombia, Argentina, and also across Europe. So she is the course tutor. But we've also brought as a speaker Daniel G, for example, who's one of the best sports lawyers in the UK and basically in the world. Daniel works with lots of high-profile clients. So he talks about the relationship between agents and sports lawyers. Because, the other thing you need to be aware of is, as an agent, you don't necessarily need to be an expert in sports law or need to be an expert in, branding. There's other professionals that you can rely upon. And Daniel G is one of them, for example, that a lot of agents, especially in the UK, rely upon, because when it comes to the negotiation, drafting contracts, Daniel helps the agents, in the operations. So anyway, sports lawyer. Then the next person we have is Dominic Vieira. Dominic Vieira is an agent registered here in Spain. And the interesting thing about Dominic is he works with a number of clients, but he has a very high-profile client at FC Barcelona. Basically his client is Ter Stegen, the goalkeeper at Barca. So you're going to be learning from an agent that negotiates with the top organizations in football, like FC Barcelona. And that is insight that, you can't get every day. Having access to these types of professionals, it's not easy because you need to be involved in the industry. You need to have a big network. And in this program, we give you guys the opportunity to have access to these types of professionals. Another interesting speaker that we've brought on is Victor Orta. Some of you that maybe have seen the series Take Us Home Leeds United will have seen him. But Victor Orta is the sporting director at Leeds United, of course, a club in the Premier League. So again, you're going to be getting insight as to how an agent negotiates with a sporting director and at the highest level, because when you're negotiating with a Premier League club, you really got to know what you're doing, right? You got limited opportunities when you have this type of exposure with Premier League clubs. So you need to be aware of what to do and how to negotiate. And this is why it's important to look at the other side, because you may be able to train yourself, prepare yourself as an agent, but then in practice, when you go in and negotiate with a club, if you're not used to or you don't understand what it means to negotiate with a sporting director, you're probably going to learn the hard way after a few mistakes. So in this course, we bring the other side. So when you're negotiating with clubs, you know the expectations from the sporting directors, from the executives inside the football clubs. We also wanted to make sure that you understood the relationship between an agent and a player. So we've brought on Alberto Solano. So many of you who probably remember him from the Premier League back in the days with Newcastle. Now he's working with the Peruvian Federation. He works with the national team. So Alberto Solano, top Premier League star, legend, he talks about his experience. And it's very interesting to hear him speak because, he talks about how he went from basically very humble beginnings in Peru and moving to, the best league in the world and playing for one of the top teams like Newcastle United. So you get to hear his story. And again, you have access to ask him questions, to get his insight as to what it means to, begin from very humble beginnings and making it to the top level. And he shares his journey. He shares his story. And it's very, very interesting because, he's a very down-to-earth, humble person and talks a lot about what it meant for him and, the difficulties he had when he went to England without, knowing the language, without understanding the culture, without necessarily having the same style of play as he had in Peru before moving. So all of these things are relevant, especially for you guys who are looking to become agents or are already working as agents, because this is a story that replicates time and time again with youngsters that are showing a promise and that could potentially end up playing professional football. But, when you hear it from somebody who's lived it firsthand, obviously very interesting to understand that. Then a couple of the others that we have scheduled here, Enrique Ripoll. Enrique is one of the top sports lawyers, again, in Europe. Now he's working out of the U.S. He's based in Miami. But he's represented the likes of FC Barcelona when they've had high-profile cases. He collaborates closely with FIFA. So when you hear him speak, again, you're going to have insights from a sports lawyer that is very well connected with FIFA, that understands the regulations, that understands the ins and outs. Just as an anecdote, one of the points he made last course when he was delivering a master class is representing minors. As some of you may know, as an agent, you're not allowed to charge when you are representing a minor. And he was telling us the story of Ansu Fati, the player with FC Barcelona. And he was saying, is it fair for an agent who is working with a client that is, making, over €1 million as Ansu Fati is it fair for his agent not to have that, remuneration? So he goes into that case and talks a little about how that can be, looked at between the relationship and a player who's underage, but then ends up, having success. And then, of course, he talks about the regulations that are coming up with FIFA and the role of the agent. Finally, on this list, we have Christian Martin. Christian worked with an agency called Be Engaged. And he's a very interesting person to hear speak because he has a number of high-profile players. And what he does is he represents them from a branding standpoint. In other words, he looks for endorsement deals for his clients. So he works as an agent as well, but a lot of his work is finding endorsement deals for his clients. So he talks about how to approach brands, whether you're a small player, or a high-profile player such as the ones he represents, but not necessarily just the high-profile cases. He also talks about, having somebody young that perhaps is not very well known but shows potential. How do you get involved with brands like Nike or Adidas or Puma or even others in order to have, endorsement deals? So again, going back to the picture that we had here before, in the course, you get a perspective from across all areas, not just the role of the agent, and taught by executives that do this on a daily basis. So not academics, but rather those that are doing it day in, day out, or in the case of Alberto Solano as a player, who did it for many years at the highest level. As I mentioned before, the course tutor is Male Coido. And Male, what she does is she has a number of tutorials. So in just a moment, I'll show you the calendar and how the course breaks down. But the idea is that you have the master classes with the guest speakers, which I just showed you before. But then there's also a few tutorial sessions. And the tutorial sessions are basically sessions where you come in and you ask all the questions that you have to an experienced agent like Male. So last time we ran this course, for example, we had people from Turkey, from Tanzania, from Brazil, from North America, from Japan, from all over the world. And of course, there's questions that are varied because, some of the ways of operating in Africa are very different than in Europe or in Latin America. So those tutorial sessions allow you to talk to an agent like Male that is working across a number of markets. So she's got a lot of experience in Latin America, in Europe. She's worked with Africa. So there's a lot of areas that, you're able to ask her questions directly. And these are live sessions, by the way, just like we're having a live session now. The only difference with the classes is that they're interactive. Tonight, you guys are muted because this is a sort of a webinar. But in the live classes, you would all have your cameras, you would all have your mics. And then there's an engagement, there's interaction, and you can ask your questions. So, it does go a long way having access to a top agent to be able to ask questions, advice, and Male is, a great person to talk to because not only does she have a lot of experience, but she's also very personable. She's very approachable, and she takes this course with a lot of heart. So last time we ran it, a lot of the people that did it found a lot of value in her insight and expertise during the tutorial sessions. Very briefly, this is information that you can find on the website, but the course is divided into 3 terms. And essentially, we start next week. So the course begins on November 16th, on Monday, and it lasts for 13 weeks. We have a live class every Monday night at 8 p.m. local time in Spain, 7 p.m. in the UK. So every Monday night, we have a lesson, and the course runs from next week, Monday, November 16th, up until next year. I believe it's the end of January, the beginning of February. We can check with the calendar just now. And we have a Christmas break. So there's a holiday break in between. But there you see the different modules that are covered. Not only do you have access to the speakers, you also have access to an online campus where you have resources, presentations, articles, and this is for you to keep. So you can download all the presentations. So even after the course finishes, you can download all the resources so that you can keep for your own benefit, once you begin operating as an agent. Right, so this is the course calendar, as you can see here. And let me just grab a sip of water. So as I mentioned before, it starts on Monday, November 16th. You see that at the top. The yellow sessions are the tutorial sessions with Male. So the yellow sessions are for you to come, ask your questions. They are 2-hour sessions, so you have plenty of time to come on, talk to Male, ask questions. We will also prepare some materials and cases for you guys. So they're very interactive sessions. And then the blue sessions are master classes with the speakers. So the ones you saw before, you will have them every Monday night. So if you decide to come on to this course, you need to book your Monday nights at 8 p.m. local time in Spain for you to attend. Now, if for any reason you can't attend because of time difference, that's absolutely fine because all the lessons are recorded. So you can go back and listen to them the next day once they are uploaded. And, you know, some people also like to review them one more time. So they're there in the online campus in case you cannot attend live or in case you want to review them later on. So these are all recorded for you to watch again. Last time we ran this course, we had a few people in Australia. They weren't attending live because it was 4 a.m. in the morning for them. But what they did is they would come on and engage with us by watching the recordings and also through the course WhatsApp group, which I'll speak to that effect in just a moment. Right, so that's the calendar. If you are thinking about this course, I would strongly recommend that you book your Monday nights. We specifically booked it on Mondays because we know that Tuesday, Wednesday is Champions League, Thursday Europa League, and the weekends, of course, it's league matches. So Monday is a good day for football professionals because it's a day usually that they have a little bit more free time, and our speakers also are more available to come on the Monday nights. Okay, so that's the calendar. And as I said before, one of the advantages of this course is a network that you're going to build. And not just with the speakers that I mentioned earlier, but with the other participants that take part in the course. So right now, we already have people from different parts of the world. We have active players that have engaged and signed on to the course. We have people from organizations such as the Professional Footballers Association that are doing the course. So that means that you're going to network with individuals that are already involved in the industry. And also, this course usually attracts a lot of agents. So the great advantage of that is that if you're an agent or if you're considering becoming an agent, right away you have a network around the world that you could tap into, which are your classmates, many of them who are, like I said, already in the industry, and others that are looking to break in or get into the industry, like it may be the case for some of you out there. So the networking is a big, big component of this course. Like I said, I don't know many of you out there if you've ever tried to, get in touch with a sporting director, get in touch with, a top agent. It's not easy. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. It takes time to build that trust. So knocking on the door of a Premier League club, it takes a lot of time and effort. Here you have an access to a sporting director of a Premier League club. So right there and there you have, network that you build with the speakers, not only with clubs, but with players, with, people involved in sports agencies, scouts, etc. So you do get to create a community that you're able to tap into even after the course finishes. The other thing that we do is we create a WhatsApp group with everybody on the course. And this is good for a couple of reasons. On the one hand, it allows us to have direct contact with you guys when we make announcements about the course or when we share information about a particular case that we're discussing. So that's great because it keeps the conversation alive and active beyond the Monday night classes. So classes are Mondays at 8 p.m. local time in Spain, but the conversation remains active throughout the week because I'm sure all of you or most of you use WhatsApp, and you know how agile this application is, that you're constantly on it and you're instantly getting access to people. So it's not even a network that we create via email because email is a little bit slower. So WhatsApp works very well because it's very agile, and that allows you to also connect with your classmates. In fact, last session we ran this program, we had a number of people that were working across different countries, and because of the course they came together, and now they're collaborating on different initiatives. So we had a couple of people, for example, in the US. One of them was based in the West Coast. One of them was based in New York. So both of them working with representation of footballers. And through this course, now they're working and they're collaborating in the US market because, they have opportunities to, make operations or transactions or, just synergies. If you are looking to work as an agent or an intermediary, you'll find out that this is of massive importance, that you won't have the reach to access all the markets yourselves. So if you're based in, for example, Uganda or Nigeria or, some of the countries we saw before, you may have access to that market or you may have access to some of the surrounding countries, but perhaps you don't have that reach in Europe or you don't have that reach in Latin America or North America. And that's where the network comes in very handy because let's say you have a player in Uganda and you're looking to bring him to a different market. Well, it's very different to try and go to that market on your own than to pick up the phone and say, hey, I have this player. Can we talk about opportunities for him or her to play in a different market? And there you'll see that the network is where it really plays big, because that's when you're going to be able to pick up the phone, have contacts that know you, that trust you, because they've engaged with you in this course for a number of weeks. So that's essentially the way that this course works. It's a lot about practical knowledge, learning the skills that you need to work as an agent. Obviously, the theory is there, but the theory is only 50%. The theory only matters if you put it into practice. And by putting it into practice, you need to understand how it works in real life. And that's why we've brought these professionals that are operating in the industry day in, day out. A little bit more on the network. This is a map that shows the number of students that we've had in SBI since we've been operating. We've been operating for 8 years now. So we have essentially students from, I believe last time we checked was over 100 countries. That means that you build a connection with an alumni community that is very wide. So we are very, concerned is not the word, we're very open, I guess, to making sure that when you do a course with us, you have an opportunity to collaborate with the SBI community, or as we like to call it, the SBI family. Because it's all about helping each other out. And I mean, just to show you here an example, a lot of the people that we bring in as guest speakers, we've collaborated with them across, the SBI community. So it also goes a long way building that community once you form part of the course and the SBI family. Here's just a number of organizations, and these are not all. I mean, these are just a few of the ones that we've collaborated with in the past year or so. But there's plenty more that we engage with and collaborate with. So you're going to be involved in an institute that is very much linked to the industry. Very briefly on the methodology and how the course is working or how the course is structured or what you can expect. Basically, you have access 24/7 to an online campus. The idea is that you review the content, before. After you review the content, we have the lectures with the speakers that we talked about before. After those speakers, we also have the lab sessions, which I mentioned is the opportunity for you to ask your questions specifically, and when we have a more personalized engagement with you and the rest of the classmates. And then finally, there's a final project and a couple of practical tasks that we will make sure that allow you to grasp the contents and put everything in practice through a final project. Now, the final project is very much linked to your own aspirations. So you're going to see that it's a project that is not very theory-based, but it's real life of how you can expect to work as an agent in the industry. As I said before, the course runs from November to February. Let's just check the calendar again here. So finishes February 15th. February 15th is the last session. So, the idea is that you have the online campus access, which is, of course, 24/7 access. The content is uploaded every time a new module is opened. It drops, it unlocks in the campus, and then you have an opportunity to be prepared. so that when you connect on the Monday night, you have done the revision of the material beforehand. If you can't do it beforehand, it's no big deal. You can always go back and catch up later on. So it's a very flexible learning style. Obviously, we suggest and we strongly recommend that you do the revision beforehand, but we know that sometimes people are busy and, life gets in the way or work gets in the way. So the flexibility that this course allows is that if you're not able to do it beforehand, you could always catch up afterwards. And even with the live sessions, we strongly encourage you to attend live, but if you can't, there's always a possibility of watching the recordings and engaging through the WhatsApp group and asking your questions there. So even if you don't attend live or if you miss a session, you can always drop a question in the WhatsApp group and we will reply with answers to all your queries and all your doubts. And this goes a long way as well, because, for example, last course we had a student from Tanzania who is an agent, starting out, but he's an agent in Tanzania. And he would send us questions and he would say, how can I do this in my FA? Because this works differently in Tanzania than it does in, in the UK or in Spain. And he would drop his questions in the WhatsApp group, and then Male would reply and say, okay, well, think about this, or, make sure that you understand, this from your federation. Or so she was able to give very practical insight and tips based on her experience, specifically catered and personalized to the individual students. So you'll see that the WhatsApp group is very active, and it's a great opportunity for you to ask your questions and basically have access to a lot of professionals that are going to be there to help you and assist in making sure that that you get the most out of the program. Finally, I'll just briefly talk about the mentorship. So what we do is we want to make sure that we guide your career, that we mentor you. So maybe some of you are already working as agents. Maybe some of you are looking to get into this field. Whatever the situation is, what we're going to do is in those lab sessions, we're going to personalize and make sure that we deal specifically with your own aspirations, your own objectives, your own goals as an agent or an intermediary. So we will have personalized, conversations with you when we're having those sessions for you to have the best access to our team and to have the mentorship to be able to guide you. Like I said, some of you that are coming from markets that perhaps are not, closely working with Europe or with other areas, it's going to be a good opportunity for you to build that connection and build that understanding. And of course, as I mentioned before, the regulations that are going to be, spread around the world by FIFA, that will mean that if you want to work as an agent, you need to understand those regulations. You need to know what are the steps you need to take in order to get the license. As of now, you don't need the FIFA license because, like I said before, in 2015, things changed. So now you don't need the license, but this will change. FIFA will implement new regulations. You will need to get licensed. These regulations and these changes were supposed to come into place this year, but of course with the pandemic, they've had to delay it. So now it's in 2021 when they're going to roll it out. But if you go online and you Google the new agent regulations, you're going to see that FIFA is going to introduce a lot of new regulations that are going to, suggest capping agent commissions, that are going to reintroduce the licensing system, that are going to talk about, the new ways of working with minors, and a number of other areas that you're going to need to be aware of if you want to work as a licensed agent. So that's some of the key benefits in general, summarized from what I've mentioned today. And in the next slide, you'll see them here in a more visual manner. So the live weekly online classes with the industry experts, the up-to-date real-life learning content that you're going to find both in the live lessons and inside the online campus, and that personalized touch, that personalized development, mentoring that we're going to have with you, whether you're starting, whether you're already an agent and looking to extend your practice. So that's something that we're going to be working closely with you very closely. Right, now, just to finalize, with that, I'll finish my presentation and I'll turn it over to your questions. Just a few testimonials. So this is a testimonial from a student of ours who some of you may recognize if you've watched the Premier League for a number of years, Wes Morgan. So Wes is the captain of Leicester City, and many of you maybe remember a few years ago when Leicester miraculously won the Premier League. Well, Wes was the one lifting the Premier League Cup, the trophy, when Leicester miraculously won the league. Anyway, Wes is a student or a former student of SBI, and you can see his testimonial there of how he benefited from studying with us. So gaining a full understanding on the business side of football, and he talks about the connections that we had at SBI and how he benefited from the course. So that's an example of a professional footballer, an elite professional footballer that, has done our courses before. This is Ruth. Ruth works with Charlton Athletic with the Academy, and she says that she definitely recommends the SBI courses, and in her case, she was able to get valuable insights into areas where she doesn't necessarily see this. So this is going back to that holistic approach that we were talking about, understanding the business from all angles and making sure that, in this case, if you want to work as an agent, you understand it from the perspective of clubs, sporting directors, sport lawyers, scouts, brand managers, professional footballers. So that's what she says. And then finally, Antonio, who works with Vodafone, same thing. He talks about how this course added value to him and working with us at SBI, how that benefited his career. So anyway, that's a few testimonials. You can go to our website and check it out. If you are interested, like I said, we start next week. We start on Monday. So this is why we wanted to do this info session tonight and answer your questions, because basically we're a few days away. And if you want to come on, that's the opportunity that you have up until next week when we start. The course fee is 975 euros. So you can have a look at the website. The duration is 3 months. The next intake is November 16th. So that's a screenshot from the previous edition, but November 16th. So Monday is when we start. The course is 100% in English. So all the speakers, all the material, all the course is delivered in English 100%. And of course, the format is 100% online. So you can do the course no matter where you're connecting from in the world. And it's with live interactive sessions. So not only is it an online course, some of you that maybe have done other online courses will be used to connecting to an online platform and watching videos or recordings. This is not that type of course. This course has live classes. So interactive sessions with those speakers that I mentioned earlier, and you have the opportunity to unmute your microphones, ask your questions, and engage with those professionals. We use this same platform, which is the Cisco Webex meetings platform. Again, like I said, tonight is a little bit different. You guys are muted because we are doing a webinar, but in the classes, you can actually unmute yourself. You can put on your camera and you're live, and it's as though you're in the classroom. The only difference is you may be connecting from Nigeria or from Uganda or from London or from Barcelona or wherever, but you're going to have access to those professionals that are going to come and speak to you. So at this stage, that's what I wanted to share with you guys as far as the presentation, as far as what the course entails. But I'm also interested to hear about your questions. So if you have any questions about the course or anything you'd like to have clarification on, go ahead and type it in the chat box now, and we'll see if we can either answer your question from the chat, or we'll also try to unmute your microphone and bring you live if you want. So either way, whether you want it through the chat or through a live conversation. So anything that you want to ask, or perhaps you have some questions about the role of the agent in general. So whatever that may be, just type it in the chat box, or maybe just in the chat box say I have a question. And when you say that you have a question, I'll make sure to bring you on. Okay, so Raman, and then David as well. Okay, so I'm seeing a few questions here. So let me just go to the chat. Okay, 1 second as I scroll through here. So David Ducky. David, thank you for your question. So David asks, after you complete this course, what are my career options? Okay, So David, let me try to bring you on here. Let me see if I can give you access to your microphone. Again, normally this is very standard, but since it's a webinar, we have to do it a little bit differently here. So David, let me try and see if I can unmute you. 1 second. I don't see you, David. There we go, David. Okay. Connect to audio. Sorry, David, unmute. Okay. So David, you should be able to speak now if I'm not mistaken. So let's give it a try.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Hi, David. Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yes. So tell me a little bit about your background, and we'll get to your question about what are your career options. So where are you connecting from tonight, David?
Okay, so I am connecting from the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
Right. My career background is in finance.
Okay.
I have a master's in international finance.
Mm-hmm.
And I have always been very interested in pursuing a career from the business side of football.
Right. Okay.
And I'm looking for opportunities. You know, I have been to Barcelona. It's a very fantastic state or city, and I've been to a couple of games there, you know, and that has opened my eyes to going to the next level in my career. So I want to know if I complete your course or your courses, or should I do a master's in football administration or the football business, you know, where can I go internationally?
Right. So is the agent side of things something that you're looking to get into, or are you looking more in general to football administration, business in general?
I would say I'm looking in general, but I'm looking to start something small, like a 3 months program, like what is on offer here first, to get my feet wet, so to say.
Right. Okay. Okay. The reason I ask that is because we have other programs here at SEI, and we have a master's program that looks at the entire business of football. And when I mean the entire business of football, we talk about not only the role of the agent, but we look at events, we look at digital, we look at obviously the role of the agent, marketing, sponsorship. So it covers a lot of areas. This particular course is designed to look at obviously the role of the intermediary or the agent, but as I mentioned before, it's looking at it from a very holistic approach. So you're going to see that if you do decide to come on to this program, you're not only just going to be learning about the role of the agent, which of course is the core of the course, but you're also going to be understanding, the club side. You're going to be understanding the sports law side. You're going to be understanding the business or the marketing side. And as far as career options, well, I mean, I always like to say that there's four key elements that you should consider when you're looking to optimize your career opportunities. So if you're coming from a sector that is not football, there's 4 areas that you should be thinking about optimizing. And I'll mention what those are. Number 1 is knowledge, because if you don't have an understanding of the knowledge of what it entails to work in the industry, you're going to be in a disadvantageous position. This doesn't mean that you can't transfer your skills from the world of finance, because I'm sure that that's going to be very valuable, but you're also going to need to understand the business of football. And if you don't have that, that's the first thing that you're going to need to build on. So knowledge. Second point, and we talked about this before, contacts, network. If you want to optimize your career opportunities, that's something that you're going to need to start building. In any sector, and you will know this as well as anybody, it's very important to have contacts. Why? Because contacts are about trust. And you can imagine that in a sector like football, where depending on the level we talk about, there's big money at stake, then people are very closed. And you probably know this in your country, because football is like that in most countries. They're very closed sectors. So it's about who you know and building that trust. And of course, that takes time. So that's very important to build that network. Just as an aside, I always like to give this very simple analogy. If you're driving down the road and you see somebody asking for a ride, hitchhiking, and you don't know who he or she is, do you pick them up? Obviously not, right? Because you don't know who they are. They may be the most, genuinely nice people in the world, but you don't know who they are, so you keep driving. Whereas, if in that same situation, a friend of yours calls you and says, hey, David, do you mind picking up my friend who's stranded on the middle of the road? You obviously pick them up because there's that element of trust. So networking in football works exactly like that. If you knock on the door of a club and they don't know who you are, odds are you're not going to get very far. So it's about building that connection, building that trust, and that's why the network is important. So that's the second element. And then there's a couple more, but does that make sense so far, David?
Yes, definitely. Excellent. Yeah.
Okay.
Well said.
And then the next 2 points that I just wanted to highlight are guidance, mentorship. So if you're looking to optimize your opportunities, it's also important to have the right individuals to guide your career, because that's going to accelerate your path. There's some people that, don't have a mentor and unfortunately take the long road or take the long way. And the long way can sometimes lead you in the wrong direction. And sometimes once you're going in the wrong direction, you don't come back. So having a mentor, having people that understand the business, who are able to guide you and give you that, professional advice goes a long way. And then the final one is experience. So evidently that's something that, we help you with the course to optimize your opportunities to build that experience. But if you have that knowledge, if you build your contacts, and if you have the right mentors, and you start gaining experience, you're going to see that that's how you're going to optimize your opportunities. And these courses that we've designed at SBI have been built on those pillars for you to have all those areas covered, so that they allow you to have that opportunity to optimize your career path, in whether it's in Trinidad and Tobago or internationally.
Internationally, yeah.
So does that answer the question, David?
Yes, sir. That answered my question.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you for the question, David, and thank you for engaging with us tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. So let's put David back on mute, and let's go to the next question. And I think it works well if we do it with the microphone, because we have a bit more of a connection. So let me have a look at the next question here. So let's go to Ahmed. Ahmed, let me find you, and hopefully we can get your microphone. So Ahmed, there we go. Ahmed, you should be able to speak now, Ahmed.
Yes, thank you. Hi, do you hear me?
Yes, Ahmed, welcome.
Great, thank you. So I am talking to you from Switzerland. I am in the city of Fribourg.
Okay.
It's a bit close to you. I guess you are in Barcelona, right?
Right, yes, not too far.
Yes. So for me, I am a Moroccan lawyer. Okay. And I did my LLM here in international contracts and arbitration. So I had some subjects like related to sport law. And yes, I have a big interest for sport law and for football business and industry, notably. This is why I'm asking this question about the agent.
And sorry, can you repeat the question so that everybody can hear what it was?
Yes, so actually I have two questions. The first one is the license you spoke about. Is it like the major condition for becoming an agent? And then my second question is, can a lawyer become at the same time an agent?
Okay, good questions. Yes. Right, so as it stands right now, like we talked about before, there is no license per se by FIFA, but this is going to change in 2021. So yes, that'll be a major condition. If you want to represent players, you will need to go through that licensing system. Now, we don't know exactly what that is going to be like because FIFA hasn't announced it yet. They've just said that they're going to bring back the licensing. But most likely it'll require a test that you're going to need to pass. And once you pass that test, FIFA will grant you the license. Now, that said, there's two elements when it comes to representing players: the requirements and the practical aspect. So, when the licensing system was in place before 2015, there were a lot of people that got the license, that passed the test, but they were not working, or they were not having any meaningful operations. Why? Because they lacked those contacts and they didn't have the access to the industry. So yes, it is a major requirement because you will need it, but it's not just because you get that license that you're going to be able to have success as an agent. You're also going to need to, like we talked about with David before, build that network, understand the realities of what it means to work with agents. So the license is a major requirement because you will need it, but the other requirement is what you do with that license. And this is where this course, provides that insight, because once you do have that license, then it's what you do with it and how you leverage it. So does that answer the question, the first one?
Sure. Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then the second question, well, Ahmed, you have an advantage. You definitely do have an advantage because as a lawyer, you have an opportunity to represent players, and you're going to be able to, a lot of the times what happens is agents, they rely upon a lawyer to have them, do the contracts, because agents normally are the ones that have the relationship with the player, right? That's usually how it works. But agents don't necessarily know the law and don't know contracts and don't know about, the legal requirements. So what they do usually is they outsource the service to a sports lawyer, and then they work together and the sports lawyer provides services for the agent, and, then they're able to sign the contracts or, do the transactions as necessary. So Daniel G, for example, who I mentioned earlier, that's what he does. He works with a lot of agents. So he's not an agent himself, but he works with a lot of agents because many agents don't have that legal background. If you decide to pursue this career, you have an advantage because you're going to understand the law and you're going to be able to operate as an agent, which means, you have that already covered. So that's really good. And plus you're working in a market which is, very much an interesting one, right? Obviously, Switzerland is a country where a lot of the major federations are based, and there's opportunities as well there to build a network, not only with clubs but also get involved when it comes to different organizations. Right. So Ahmed, how long have you been operating as a lawyer?
Not too long, 2 years.
2 years. Okay. And have you been working with football yet, or that's an area that you're looking to transition into?
No, not yet. I'm looking in a long term to be specialized in sport law and notably football, because it's something like that I'm passionate about. Yeah.
Okay. No, I mean that's a really good opportunity if you're interested in this type of stuff. The course, if it's something you're considering, will deliver a lot of value from the legal standpoint, but also from the practical standpoint, which in your case I think is going to complement that, because perhaps some of the legal stuff that you'll see in the course, even though it's sports law and it's going to be different to what you've focused on, you're going to be able to, as a lawyer, to interpret it in a way that is sort of easier for you because you have that legal background. But where I see that you will find a lot of the value is, when you hear the sporting directors speak, when you hear the scouts speak, when you hear the players speak, when you hear the people that sign endorsement deals speak, because perhaps that's an area that you haven't really focused as much. So, that could be a good way to complement your legal background. Okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. Anything else, Ahmed? Does that answer the questions?
Definitely. No. Thank you so much.
Okay, Ahmed. Thank you. So let's put you back on mute, Ahmed. Thank you for the question. And let's go to the next one. So let's see. Who did we have here? Foster, nice to see you. So Foster and I had a conversation some time ago. So let's have a look and see if we can unmute you, Foster. Foster, you should be able to speak now.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Thanks for your session, and thanks for what you shared to the group. I'm happy to hear from you and the session that you've organized.
Thank you, Foster. It's nice to connect with you. Remind me where you're based. You're in, is this in
Malawi.
Oh, Malawi. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And
Sure.
tell me, you have a question that you'd like to ask, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Mine is a simple question. I think I concur with the session you had previously with a certain agent from Tanzania, because our setup in Malawi and other part of Southern Africa, to be specific in Malawi, we are not far more advanced in terms of player, agent management, whatsoever. We have some issues with player tapping whatsoever. But this agent thing, they are currently now coming as a professional now here in Malawi. But all along, we've been struggling to get good agents in Malawi. So looking at the presentation that you gave me, using the 360 channel, working hand in hand with the football scouts, the football lawyers, the brand managers, and also the club managers. Hello?
Oh, hi, I'm here. I was just switching the slides. Yes.
Yeah, sure. So you said, being an agent on the top, I'm here to working hand in hand with the sports directors, the club scouts, brand managers, sports lawyers, and
Yes. Okay, I think we may have lost Foster's connection. Yeah, it looks like we lost your connection, Foster. I don't see your audio anymore. So, yeah, too bad, because I think you were just about to ask your question, but it seems as though we lost you. Anyway, Foster, I'll try and get back to you if you're still listening. I'll try and come back to you, unless you're back. No, I don't think you're back. Okay, so Foster, if you're listening or are able to hear me, I'll come back to you hopefully when you regain your connection. Otherwise, feel free to type the question in the chat box and I'll answer it there, okay? So hopefully you can hear me, Foster. Okay, well, let me move on and just answer the next questions. So Adrian, please keep me informed about future intakes. Okay, Adrian, why don't you come on anyway? I mean, I know you just said that probably you don't have a question per se, but you know, let's get you on here and see if we can get to know you a little bit better. So 1 second, and Adrian, if you're still around, let's find you here. No, I think Adrian may have left. Don't see you in the attendees, Adrian. So it looks like Adrian is disconnected. Anyway, Adrian said that he'd like to get involved in the course, but maybe not this time around, as he won't have time, but for future intakes. So Adrian, I don't see you here, but if you're here, just drop me a message in the chat and let me know that you're here, but otherwise we can move on and see if there's another question. Mimba. So Mimba, let's bring you on. I think you have a question as well. So Mimba, can you hear me, Mimba?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hi, Mimba. Yes. Welcome. So where are you connecting from, Mimba?
I am connected from Portugal.
Portugal, okay. Mm-hmm. Excellent. And what do you do in Portugal, Mimba?
I am an ex-footballer and now an agent.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent.
Did you get it?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, did you get it?
Did I get?
I'm not sure who's speaking. I think maybe we left somebody with the microphone. I don't know who said that. But anyway, sorry. Nima, go ahead.
Yes, I was asking, what are the payment possibilities for the course? Do you accept multiple payments or is it a one-time payment?
Yeah, so this course is a one-time payment. It's $975. We do have an opportunity to pay in installments, but it gets a little bit more expensive. So in the one-time fee, you save, I believe it's 200 euros, because there's the option of paying in 2 installments, but it just makes more sense. So a lot of the people just basically say, well, I want to do the one-time payment fee. So, yeah.
Okay, sure. That was my question.
Okay, good. Tell me, Mimba, where did you play when you were playing as a footballer?
I played up to Division 3 in Portugal.
Okay.
I played before in my country of origin, which is Cameroon.
Okay.
Then
Excellent.
I moved to Portugal. Played for 8 years in Portugal in the Division 3. Then I decided to stop and pursue a new career as a football agent. So I've been working as a football agent for the past 3 years now.
Okay. Wow.
Trying to widen my connections and get into new markets.
Sounds like a fantastic journey that you had. I mean, from Cameroon to Portugal, and playing in professional football there. So, are you based in? Is it Lisbon, or where are you at?
I'm based in Lisbon, yes.
Lisbon. Okay. Excellent. Well, we've had a number of players. In fact, we had a player from Cameroon. I don't know if the name rings a bell, but George El Kobi. He used to play for Wolverhampton in the Premier League, so he's done courses with us in Cameroon. So yeah, I mean it's an opportunity, as I said before, to build connections, to understand a little bit more what it entails to to have success as an agent, and if you're already working as an agent, you probably understand a lot of these issues already. So if it's something that may interest you, just feel free to get in touch, and we'll be happy to assist.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Mimba. Thanks for the question. Wow, what a fantastic story, from Mimba, playing in Cameroon and then making it to professional football in Portugal and now working as an agent. So, this is the type of profile that, we tend to attract in these types of programs. So people with varied backgrounds. So people like, we had David before working in finance, looking to get into football. Then we have somebody like Mimba, who's a professional player, now working as an agent. A lawyer like Ahmed. So you see, even in this, small group that we have here tonight, we already have a number of varied, backgrounds. Okay, it looks like Foster is back, so let's try and bring you back, Foster. Foster, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I have a quick question. What is the presentation? Being a prayer agent can make much difference with other parts of the world. But here in
Sorry, Foster, let me stop you because I can't hear you very clearly. Can you speak a little bit louder, perhaps? I think the connection is not very good, so if you speak a little bit louder, I may be able to hear the question.
All right, better that way? You can hear me now?
It's a little bit better, yes.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'll be quick.
Okay.
I was following your presentation, but simply, the system itself as an agent works far much better in the work at this specific in other parts of the world where footwear is very professional. But in Malawi, I think we are far behind. Some years back, we having problems with the prayer tapping agents themselves. They don't know their job description, how they handle prayers. They don't have connection to the club and all that.
Yes.
So with the situation in Malawi, where our footwear is far much lower than what we're doing in Barcelona and other parts of the world. How can you help me to affect in the situation where we don't have systems of agents in place? I think I can take
Okay. Okay. I think I got the question. It was breaking up a little bit, but yes, basically about the marketplace in Malawi. And in fact, this is very common in African countries. And the federations, there's not a lot of structure. There's a lack of professionalization many times. And this can be a double-edged sword because it means that you may not know what rules you're playing with because there's no clear structure in place. But at the same time, there's an opportunity because if you have the chance to understand how this sector operates, you're in a position of advantage when you're in that local market. Many times, of course, you'll need to engage with the federation, but like the case we talked about before with our student in Tanzania, he asked the question to Enrique Ripoll, the sports lawyer that I mentioned earlier, and he said, what do I do in this situation? And Enrique's question was basically say, well, if there is no structure in place, you just got to do as best as you can moving forward with the regulations that you have available to you. And if you don't have them available, just keep operating in the way you have. And perhaps that's something that, may resonate with you in the market in Malawi, as is the case in many countries and particularly in Africa, that there's no clear structure in place. But when you do have that understanding, when you do have that background, it does allow you to, have an opportunity to operate a little bit more in depth. So I hope I've answered the question. I mean, I didn't get fully clear what you were saying at the end, but I think it was around that question. No, is that correct?
No, that's correct. Thank you so much.
Okay, excellent, Foster. Well, thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to connect with you again. I know we had a WhatsApp call a number of weeks ago, so it's really nice to see you here tonight, and hopefully we can continue speaking as we move forward. So thanks for your question. Okay, excellent. So all the best to you in Malawi. Right, so any more questions? If anybody else wants to come on here and ask a question, just feel free to come on and let me know. I'll stick around just in case. I don't see any in the chat for now. But if there's no more questions, then I'll just conclude the session very, very briefly to wrap things up. So the last thing that I'll say after the questions is, when you come to SBI and do a course with us, you're not just joining a course, you're joining a family. And what we mean by that is your course may last 3 months, it may last 8 months, it may last 2 months, whatever course you decide to do with us, that's the duration of the course. But the relationship, that is ongoing, for a lifetime, because our students are our main asset. Our success as an organization depends on the success of our students. And we know this very well. So we take on very much on board every single student that comes. And as best as we can, we're going to be able to help you accelerate your path into the business side of football, whether it's as an agent or if you do another course with us in the marketing or the business side. Whatever you decide to do with us at SBI, just rest assured that it's not a transactionary operation where you come, you do a course, and you leave. You do the course with us, but then you remain in contact. And in fact, a lot of the speakers for many of the programs that we run are former students of ours that are now having success at FIFA or at Manchester United or at Man City or Barcelona or CONCACAF or wherever it may be. And it's because of the relationship that we've been able to build with them as students. So, rest assured that when you do take part in a program with us, you join a family, and hopefully by tonight you've seen that this is the way that we approach our programs. We like to hear what you're about. We like to know about your aspirations. We like to know about, what you want to achieve, because that's what we use as a tool to minimize those gaps for you. So we look at where you're at now, where you want to go, and in between those gaps, we fill them together with you so that you accelerate your career and optimize your path in the industry. Finally, get in touch with our team. That's me on the left, and then you can also talk to Emma or Chavi if you want to know more about any of our programs. Get in touch with us. Of course, this program begins on Monday, so if you are considering it, make sure to get in touch with us soon. We already have a number of participants, like I said, who are working in football, agents, players that have already enrolled. plus, of course, the speakers that I mentioned earlier that are going to be a valuable asset in your career. So that's it. I really want to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to me tonight speak. And more importantly, this session was about you. So hopefully we've met that expectation and delivered answers to your questions and also information about the program that hopefully, if you do want to come on, we're convinced you're going to find a lot of value, and we'd be delighted to be able to help you along the way in your career as an agent or an intermediary. So that said, I want to wish everybody a wonderful evening. Thank you for connecting. Please stay safe out there. And anything that you may need from us, we are here. So all the best, everybody, and have a great evening. Take care, everybody.